afternoon. My name is Asir Galindo,
Hello, my name is Alba Garcia.
and today we will be talking about indie games versus AAA games.
Okay, here we all like games, but what we should choose an indie game before a AAA game or vice versa? There are some factors that we should take into account. For example, the price of an indie game is cheaper than the price of a AAA game.
Well, so to choose from one of these choices, we would need to take into account the price and the duration of these games. First of all, indie games usually are very cheap compared to AAA games, and also the duration of these are much shorter than AAA games. For example, let's say an indie game costs maybe 20 euros or even free. Some of them are free, and the duration might be around 5 hours to 10 hours, most of cases. And on AAA games, these usually cost around 80 euros or even more if they are a premium version, and the duration might be around 100 hours. So this would be a very important part.
Okay, now a very important aspect of video games is the visual aspect of it, and it's pretty important because we have to take into account what we see. A video game has to have catchy graphics and has to have some visuals that make it attractive for us and make it appealing to play. We want to see high quality graphics, and as best as the graphics are, more catchy are for us. So it's pretty important to take that into account, but both indie and AAA games have this quality of graphics most of the cases. Besides, they are different qualities of graphics and different types of them.
So every AAA game is known for having very good graphics, depending of the genre of this game, but in general, every game has a really impressive visuals. For example, we have Souls-like games or fighting games of these huge companies, which have amazing graphics. But instead, the indie games are known for having more simple graphics. For example, pixel art or low poly. These are some type of graphics that doesn't need much effort for the company, but are very catchy for us the users.
Okay, so talking about particular games, for example, we have talking about indie games, we have Ori, that it's very known around the community of gamers, and it has a very relaxing experience of graphics. It's very calm, there's not much contrast in the colors, it's quite fluent, it doesn't have anything that like shines a lot or that can distract your eye. It's like very calm and very quiet. Here you can see it. And then we have also some AAA games like God of War that are quite realistic and are not the same aesthetic at all. In God of War, we have like very, very realistic graphics, and we see the blood when we fight, we see the pretty realistic characters, and everything is like less relaxing but more realistic.
One of us died today!
So the music on the industry of video games is a very important matter, because it's not the same if I showed you this than if I showed you this. Well, you can see the difference between both of these examples. Here you don't have any sound, you don't feel anything while watching it. It's just plain gameplay. There's no sound, there's nothing to see, only visuals. On this example, you have sound on the background and very, very sound effects of these characters. It's more immersive for the user who is playing it to empathize with the characters and the environment.
Okay, talking about the scientific aspect of the music, we have to take into account that music is a very important factor in video games because music can influence in our emotions. It can affect us, making us feel in a certain way. For example, a very clear example of this is when we are fighting a boss in some game and the music on the background is so epic and so intention and just making us like feel nervous against the boss, like feel like it's a very important battle and giving basically importance to it and make it like a huge event in the game. And AAA games usually tend to use this kind of music that puts you in tension. Besides, it's not all of them. Most of them want to make you feel in tension in certain moments of the game. For example, when you're fighting a boss, as I said, or when you are trying to do a very hard mission.
You fail! I hereby vow.
So I think it's pretty important the music in this part. But if we talk about indie games, the harmony in the music of indie games is made literally to relax our brains and to make us feel calm or happy with the characters or make us sympathetic to the characters or feel sad about them because it's made, as all the indie games, most of them at least, it's made to relax us and to make us feel calm, and that the environment that these games cause makes us feel so chilly playing and so well with ourselves while playing.
So this degree we are studying is preparing us for in the future work in a company related to video games. But first we will need to begin with small projects. These small projects are indie companies, and these companies allow you to work with freedom. Maybe you can be the programmer of the game or the character designer or whatever you want to be. But if the game succeeds and it's a good project, bigger companies will hire you for your good job, and who knows, maybe this ends up being your lifetime job.
Okay, in addition to what Asier said, it's pretty important to take into account the possibilities you have talking about the jobs and the way you are going to work. Because when you're working to a small company, most of it, as we are talking about in indie games, when you're working for a company that is making an indie game, you have the freedom to work from home and to work remotely from the business or the company. And it also allows you to live wherever you want without taking into account the placement of the company. But if we talk about AAA games, as you have to be constantly sharing information and constantly co-working with some of your companions, you have to be in the same room, and at least with your companions of your section, if you are a programmer with the rest of programmers or whatever, you would have to be in the same room and you would have to be together in order to work properly. So I think that it's a very important aspect to remark that it's easier to work from your home for an indie game than for a AAA game.
So, in conclusion, we think that if you are looking for if you are more like a casual player, indie games are made for you because these are short games, cheap games, and the experience they offer are amazing. But instead, if you are looking for a challenge, uh, AAA games is what you're looking for because of the duration, and maybe of course they are much expensive, but there are some ways you can get them for free. And also how challenging these games usually are and how much time they take from you because as we said previously the duration of AAA games are around 100 hours, so you have time for months even.